I'm Aaron Gold for Auto by Tao, and today I am driving the Mitsubishi iMiEV, which is Mitsubishi's battery-powered electric car. Now I know what you're thinking. Why are you driving Mitsubishi's iMiEV? Aren't there newer and more exciting electric cars on the market? Well, yes, there are, but none more affordable, because Mitsubishi has slashed the price on this car to $23,845. And if that sounds like a lot, consider that when you buy an electric car, you get $7,500 from the federal government right off your taxes, if you pay that much in taxes. So that makes this a $16,345 car. Okay, now we're talking about getting an electric car for about the price of a Hyundai Accent. And certain states have discounts as well. California will give you $2,500, makes this a $14,000 car. If you live in the great state of Georgia, this is a $12,000 electric car. Okay, now the question you have to ask is, are you giving anything up when you buy a deeply discounted electric car? Well, let's take a look. Inside, a little plain, a little plasticky. That's what we expect from Mitsubishi, but it's also a fairly logical control layout. Couple of ergonomic eccentricities. Okay, the passengers or driver's seat heater switch is over here. Passenger seat heater switch is down here. Can't quite figure that out. But there's two things that are really remarkable. Okay, one is the driving position. You actually sit up really high in this car and you look out over the roof of other cars. It almost feels a bit like driving an SUV. And the other thing that's really cool about this car is the packaging. Lots of headroom in the front, but check out this back seat. Now remember, this is a relatively tiny car. I'm kind of a tiny guy, but look at this. It's a proper supportive seat with plenty of headroom. You can get 4 people into the iMiEV. Now, the secret to the packaging has to do with the fact that this is based on a Japanese market city car with a gasoline engine. Now, under the trunk, 13.2 cubic feet, by the way, which is good for groceries or gym bags. Fold that down and get more space. But in the gas version, the gasoline engine is under the trunk floor. And it's the same with the electric car. The motor, the controller, and all the gear that makes it go are right here, tucked between the rear wheels, which are shoved all the way to the back of the car. So it frees up the interior for people. One of the questions you have to ask with an electric car is, how far can you go on a charge? And with the deeply discounted iMiEV, the answer isn't great. The EPA rates the range of this car at 62 miles. Most of its competitors are in the 75 to 90 mile range. But with an electric car, more so than with any other type of propulsion, your mileage may vary. Okay, and it's the exact opposite of a car with an internal combustion engine. If you get up on the freeway, you're doing 65, 70 miles an hour, and you got the air conditioner running, your range is going to drop probably to 50, 55 miles. But if you're driving around town, or better yet, if you're in slow stop-and-go traffic, it'll go up as high as 80, maybe 85 miles. I know one guy who owns an iMiEV. He tells me he's gotten as much as 100 miles out of a charge. We've been doing a mix of freeway and around town, and I've been getting about 70 to 75 miles on a charge. Let's go take it for a spin. Driving the iMiEV is fairly straightforward. Turn the key to start, wait for the beep, put it in drive, and away you go. Now the iMiEV has a 49 kilowatt electric motor. And for those of us who speak English, that translates to 66 horsepower and about 145 pound-feet of torque, which may not sound like much, but consider that the iMiEV is a flyweight among electric cars. Weighs about 2,700 pounds, 400 pounds lighter than a Spark EV or a Fiat 500e, even though those cars are about the same size. Now, like most electric cars, the iMiEV has multiple driving modes. Drive is your normal mode that gives you full access to the power. If you put it in Eco, it remaps the accelerator pedal so that you get less power when you step on the gas, unless you floor it, in which case you get it all. And it also cranks up the regenerative brake. Now, the regenerative brake is a neat gizmo. All electric cars and most hybrids have it. Basically, when you slow down, it uses the motor to generate electricity. That partially recharges the battery and it creates resistance that slows the car. In eco mode, you get a bit more regenerative brake when you take your foot off the accelerator. And if you put it in B mode, which stands for brake, you get the normal power profile, and when you lift off the gas, you get so much braking, you can almost drive the car with one pedal. Now, the problem with that is that in this car, the brake lights only come on when you actually step on the brake pedal, so you want to be careful using that B mode. Now, most electric cars have a fancy touchscreen that shows you what subsystems are consuming power and how you can stretch your charge just a little farther. iMiEV doesn't get any of that. In fact, as near as I can tell, the gauge cluster is pretty much lifted directly from the gasoline car. They've replaced the tachometer with this little power gauge. It goes to the right when you step on the accelerator, and it goes to the left when you are using the regenerative brake. And it does have a nice little eco range to tell you when you're driving most efficiently. The battery gauge is what used to be the fuel gauge, and your range meter is the distance to empty gauge from the trip computer. Hey, not real sophisticated, but this is an inexpensive car and it works. Now, a lot of people see a car this small and they think, what about crash protection? Well, the car gets, in the government crash test, the iMiEV gets 4 out of 5 stars for a frontal impact. For the front seats, the side impact score is a full 5 stars because they have side airbags. However, for the back seats, it's only 2 stars. So you might want to think twice about using this as a family car, unless you don't care about your children all that much. And having met your children, I can understand why you wouldn't be that fond of it. I'm just kidding. I've never met your children. That was not me offering them free candy, and I was never convicted on any of those charges. Anyway, one of the other reasons this is a discounted EV has to do with the charging gear. Now, most people who buy an EV will put a charger in at their house so they can charge up every night with a 240 volt level 2 charger. Now, the charging gear on the iMiEV is only 3.3 kilowatts, and that means it takes between 6 and 7 hours to get a full charge. Newer EVs, like the Kia Soul EV, the Nissan Leaf, they get a 6.6 kilowatt charger, which can do the job in about 4 hours. And that's important because when you charge at home, you want to program your charge times to take advantage of when power is cheaper. And that's another disadvantage of the iMiEV. There's no way to program those charge times. Most electric cars have either a smartphone app or something on the dashboard where you can set a charge schedule. You can't do that in the iMiEV. You do get this little remote control, which looks rather like the detonator that the bad guy would use in a James Bond movie, and that lets you delay the charge time to start, by however many hours. But having to do that every night, I think after a while will get to be a real pain in the But in terms of charging, there is another advantage that the iMiEV does have. The iMiEV has the ability to quick charge, okay? If your battery is nearly empty, you can plug it into one of these quick charge ports and it will take the car up to 80% of charge in about 15 or 20 minutes. On the iMiEV, that's enough for about 50 miles worth of range. Topping it off on a quick charge takes a lot longer. It takes about another 20 minutes beyond that to get to 95%. And quick charging is a little rough on the battery, so you don't want to do it too much. But in a pinch, this will get you the miles that you need. Now, there are a couple of different types of quick chargers, but look whose name is on this one. Nissan, okay? Mitsubishi uses the CHAdeMO charge port. That's the same type used by the Nissan Leaf, which is one of the most popular electric cars in the United States. So there's really no shortage of quick chargers in EV-friendly areas. We're here in Los Angeles. I used an app on my phone called PlugShare. I found out that there are 2 of these chargers within 4 miles of my house. So you're really not going to get stuck. Now, let's say you go to visit friends and all they have is a 110 volt plug. Well, like most EVs, this has a charger you can plug into the wall, but Mitsubishi's charger has 2 modes, 12 amp and 8 amp. So on the faster 12 amp mode, if their circuit will support it, you can get a full charge in about 14 hours. Not a bad deal. Now, the Mitsubishi iMiEV has not exactly been the strongest selling electric car. Okay, we've seen it lacks a little range, it lacks some of the technical sophistication compared to other EVs, and maybe the styling hasn't done it any favors. Although personally, I like the styling. I'm so tired of cars that look alike. Anything that looks different makes me happy. But it is such a good deal, okay? $3,500 less than a Chevrolet Spark EV, $6,000 less than an entry-level Nissan Leaf, $108,000 less than a top-of-the-line Tesla Model S. Think about this as a subcompact economy electric car that you can drive for the same price as a subcompact economy gasoline car. Now, would I buy one of these? Well, truth be told, if I was really committed to the EV lifestyle, I would probably go for something a little bit more substantial. I really like the Volkswagen e-Golf, and I really like the Soul EV. But if you're looking for an electric vehicle and you're on a tight budget, if you just kind of want to dip your toe in the water of electric cars, I suppose water and electricity, probably not the best analogy I could have picked. Or if you're just looking for an electric runabout for town, this is a great deal. I mean, it's so low cost and it does everything that a full-size electric car can do. I'm Aaron Gold for Auto by Tel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.